I have a few more thoughts on Peace Day 2012. How ironic that we have, again, the world is still has a lot of violence in it. You know, it's like I tell my teenager, you can always look at the good or the bad, and look at the glass half full or the glass half empty, and there's still so much to be thankful for, and still family and friends and humor and life and love and beauty and things to focus on. And I think the negative people give themselves away by being constantly chased by these demons of negativity. And you know, I do remember my sister-in-law was dating somebody who later committed suicide, and I could kind of see the signs of deep depression in him when I asked him about world events, and he just rattled off a bunch of scary things, like, you know, Russia and China are going to combine and they're going to dominate the world, and people will riot the streets, and that the world is the way it is made. It's not going to be made to last, and the environment's going to be ruined, and pretty scary stuff. So sorry about my dry eyes here. Sort of negative people give themselves away by what they focus on. So focus on the positive, I guess, is what we should do. Okay. So I'm sure there will be some negative people trying to tear this video down too. But negative doesn't mean smart. Okay. A lot of people who are negative say, okay, well, I'm a realist. Okay. We can't save the dang world. Okay. But I'm here to say that we can believe and we can hope in a better world. We need to believe and hope in a better world. So some good things going on. The International Day of Peace today. The International Day of Peace, sometimes unofficially known as World Peace Day, is observed annually on September 21st. It's dedicated to peace, and specifically the absence of war and violence, such as might be occasioned by a temporary ceasefire in a combat zone for humanitarian aid access. The day was first celebrated in 1982, and it's kept by many nations, political groups, military groups, and people across the world. To inaugurate the day, the peace bell is rung at UN headquarters in New York City. The bell is cast from coins donated by children from all over continents except Africa, and was a gift from the United Nations Association of Japan as a reminder of the human cost of war. An inscription on its side reads, "Long live absolute world peace." So individuals can also wear white peace doves to commemorate the International Day of Peace, which are badges in the shape of a dove produced by a non-profit organization in Canada. So it has a history since 1982. The Global Truce 2012, that sort of evolved to being called that too. In 2011, Peace One Day, it's a group called Peace One Day, which is, check it out on Facebook, they have a page, which is very interesting. Peace One Day announced that their O2 Arena concert, a new international campaign called Global Truce 2012, a grassroots initiative, an international coalition with non-governmental organizations and student unions in every continent, which will increase participation and action on Peace Day 2012, the Day of Global Truce, particularly focused on this campaign, including cessation of hostilities on that day, reduction of domestic violence, and bullying in society. So they're also looking at bullying, which is an excellent topic. Bullying is still something we really have to look at. And you know, it's even frightening when my teenage son is picking up bullying behavior. So it's serious stuff. It really is. It hits close to home. Domestic violence, of course, is something we should always take a stand on. So there's, I guess, an all-day celebration concert today at Wembley Arena to celebrate Global Truce. And the irony is that there's still fighting, a lot of fighting going on across the world. Too much fighting. And there's people still being killed in the name of Muhammad, still happening. 6 people killed today on the Day of Peace. So the irony is just almost unbearable, right? Now Yoko Ono is still a very interesting person, and she's involved with world peace in New York City still. In 1969, Yoko Ono and John Lennon invited the public to join their honeymoon as it unfolded in a Montreal bedroom, complete with a songwriting session with Timothy Leary. This was the start of the couple's iconic bed-in series in the showcase that would become one of Yoko's favorite topics, peace. Today is International Day of Peace. Ono is not missing her cue. Art Production Fund and the Ono's anti-fracking Imagine Peace initiative have arranged to broadcast the words Imagine Peace hourly across the 3 largest screens in Times Square all day long in 24 languages. In an email to the Huffington Post, Yoko Ono said her wish for the Day of Peace is for all of us to think peace and allow each other to be peaceful at the same time. Even if it was for one day out of the year, it will have a great effect on our planet and the universe. Yoko Ono says, also in a short poem here, peace makes people smile and the nature shine. It covers our world with wisdom and love. It is the most beautiful thing in life. To honor the artist, we've collected a few of her best quotes about peace and matched it with favorite images. So if you want to check this out, it's on the Huffington Post today. There's a link, and it's kind of neat. Yoko Ono, it's like a little slideshow. There's some John Lennon isms in here too, like war is over if you want it, start thinking peace, we're all dreamers creating the next world, a dream you dream together is reality. So there's some pretty cool stuff. Yoko Ono is still doing some very interesting things, and she's got to be 65 years old, and she's doing some wonderful things. A little bit about my latest video, and I talked about Mitt Romney's 47% gaffe, even making Joe Scarborough angry, and something that Chris Christie would never say. That I was stating my opinion on that, and there was somebody named JDM5422 who put a barrage of comments on here. Just reading a couple of these. Okay, so Obama doesn't dodge questions. If I was Romney, I would tell the truth. We have 47 million people on food stamps and $83 billion a year controlled by J.P. Morgan. If the food stamp program goes down, I would go bankrupt. Let's keep that in mind. Keep that in your mind. The bill is under review by the feds because it's tied up with farm subsidies, which is a federal grant that allows you federal money in case of a drought. And then there's, let's see, people wake up when you have more people receiving federal handouts than paying into the feds. What is going to happen? They are going to stop paying it. It's a double-edged sword. Both candidates know this, but at least one acknowledges that our country is in trouble, not because people can't find a job, because they don't want a job when every night is a Saturday night. Why would you? So, yeah, there is some truth, I guess, to what Romney's saying with entitlement. With, I see it in my teenage son. That this is an entitlement feeling that the world owes me something. And sure, we need to be compassionate, but people need to work hard. So, welfare programs have to have work components integrated in them. It makes sense. We're not just going to hand out things. And I don't think that President Obama is saying we just have to hand out, make people happier by giving them money. But he also says it takes a village to, it takes a village. It takes everybody working together. That is the message. It's not that you didn't build it. You didn't build it. It's much deeper than that. It takes us all getting along together on one page. And what we see right now is our country becoming more increasingly fractured. Obama sees that, where Romney just sees it in a corporate sense, a more shallow version. So then this JDM also says, what's worse is everybody knows it and hides from it. I'm not here to say 47%, but I will say at least 50% of them people abuse it and don't care, and it's getting worse. The slums and the hoods are not because the feds made it, because people living there have no one looking over them to make sure they don't become, I know because I've lived it, I guess is what he's trying to say. They are not going to change. It's a mess, and it's just the beginning. Crime, sickness, and far worse things. So he's predicting like Armageddon, like everything is, So I asked him, what solutions do you offer? Are you priding yourself on predicting total anarchy? Like my teenage son, the realist, who says, It's easy to be negative. Like my teenage son predicts more riots on the streets of U.S. and like Egypt, or can we do a positive solution, being positive together and finding a positive solution? So those are two very different mindsets. That there's nothing we can do, so let's not even try, or let's try, let's work with what we have. Now, unfortunately, the presidential campaign is reinforcing class warfare. Freudian slip there. Class warfare. It's reinforcing that. The Nation had a very good piece here. I just wanted to conclude by taking some excerpts out of The Nation, which I get weekly here, The Nation magazine, which kind of reveals my politics on it. It goes on to say that we think we're all in this together is a better philosophy than you're on your own. Not surprisingly, former President Clinton best summarized the choice that Americans face this fall. Now that the theatrics of both conventions are behind us, the stark differences between the parties are clear, but so too are the limits of the election debate. On economic policy, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan have responded to the worst crisis since the Great Depression by peddling the same nostrums Republicans have preached for decades and decades. In the good times and the bad, more tax cuts primarily for the wealthy, continued deregulation of the banksters who almost destroyed the economy. So that doesn't seem to be a good move. Even more shredding of an already tattered social safety net, with the burdens falling most heavily on the weakest and the poorest, and a determined assault on Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, which privatization is the party's eventual goal. On foreign policy, the neocons surrounding Romney terrify GOP pragmatists like Brent Scowcroft or Rick Perlstein, and Romney makes a mockery of his budget balancing claims by promising to further bloat an already grotesquely swollen Pentagon. Let's see, what else is there here? Nowhere is the polarization of the parties clearer than on social issues. So this is that fraction, that sort of this fracturing rather, where a fraction on the right and fraction on the left gets further and further apart. Nowhere is the polarization of the parties clearer on social issues. The Democrats in Charlotte were unabashed cultural warriors, making abortion rights, marriage equality, and immigration reform, including a warm embrace of the Dream Kids, a central part of their convention's theme. This was in strong contrast to the GOP, whose right wing turned the party platform into a bludgeon with the attack on the rights of women, gays, and immigrants. To repair the economy, President Obama pledges to build from the middle class out through, without offering much detail on what means other than resisting Republican extremism, blocking proposed deep cuts in education, opposing efforts to roll back financial regulation, healthcare reform, and promising not to savage Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. I guess, and again, whether you're on the right or left, you got to wonder, when is the money going to run out? It's great to promise on the stump. Obama says, we're going to help you guys. We're going to come to the aid of everybody that's poor. Economies don't work that way. You can't promise the moon. You can't promise too much. That's Obama's probably biggest problem to overcome, is that he's hope and change and everything, but you got to work for hope and change. You got to work hard for hope and change, and he's got to spell out a little bit more articulately what we need to do to work together. And also, I would like to see Obama go with some rhetoric that is favorable to shaking hands with the other side rather than demonizing the other side. That's a tough, brave thing to do. But it is something that we need to do. What's notable about the election debate, according to the Nation article, again, I'm reading from the Nation article, what's notable about the election debate leading into November, however, is how much it excludes. This election features the most polarized ideological choice since Reagan versus Carter in 1980, yet the issues that are fundamental to our nation's future have been excluded from that debate. Climate change, whose devastating effects are growing more evident with each passing month, received a cursory acknowledgement from Obama, while Romney pandered tastelessly to the GOP's know-nothing denialism. But as Mark Herdegaard highlights, Obama's approach is better only by comparison. Neither party offers a sensible policy on a danger that's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The United States can no longer afford to police the world. That is the stark reality, according to this writer. Obama's eager embrace of extreme presidential powers, even the right to target and kill American citizens without a warrant, much less a trial, threatens fundamental rights, yet neither has been mentioned in this campaign. Nor does each candidate offer a plan, really a cogent plan to take military spending down, too. Extreme inequality imperils not just our economy but our democracy itself. Romney, the unabashed champion of the 1%, welcomes the flood of corporate money in politics. Obama sensibly argues that billionaires should not pay lower tax rates than secretaries, and he's nodded cautiously in the direction of the campaign finance reform. But while he has called for a revocation of top-end tax cuts, the Democratic platform has good language on labor rights and raising the minimum wage. Obama has not been a forceful advocate for policies that would share more widely and more wisely the rewards of growth. So that's a little of what I was saying there, that the rhetoric needs to be more conciliatory for both parties. The 2012 election is turning into a very fierce and negative campaign between two candidates representing very different directions, vastly different Americas. Yet both parties continue to duck the basic questions facing our nation. So that's the most dangerous thing, is that they will be, these candidates are ducking the real issues. Like, let's say the national debt is going higher and higher and higher, and the candidates are saying, "Oh, well, we just want to talk about the divisive issues." So there it is. I've said enough. Happy Peace Day. Happy International Day of Peace. And I mean that.